Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
yeah, I'm fine. You?
Everything okay?
Yeah, you're
Nice.
back in London now.
Yes. Just came here 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
I went back to Greece for 3 weeks to have a break.
okay, nice. Where are you based in Greece?
Athens, in Athens.
Ah, okay. Wow.
What about you? You are in Switzerland?
I'm in Basel, yeah, in Switzerland. Yeah.
Oh,
Since
nice. How are things there? How is life there?
you mean with the corona or like generally or?
Yeah. I mean both worlds.
I mean, I mean, generally, I mean, for me, Basel is great because it's a very small city, but it's really in the heart of Europe, so it's very easy to travel.
Yes.
So I think I'm traveling a lot, so it's nice to have come home and to know you have your friends there and stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, right now with this kind of national borders closed and all this
Hmm.
kind of stuff, it's not so easy because Switzerland is so small.
Yes.
And now, if it's just this national tours and kinds of national projects are possible, it's kind of difficult for me because I always was like kind of internationally
Hmm.
involved in projects or traveling and stuff. So yeah, I'm kind of stuck a little bit.
Yeah, but the interesting thing, I mean, I've been watching the things that you do lately, and it's really interesting that, there's no gigs. You tell me that you can't travel and everything, but you seem to be very active because you released almost two albums right now.
Yeah, that's right. But of course, I recorded the albums before the before the virus, you know.
Okay, so you had the plan really in advance, right?
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Greg Osby was more kind of uh, a thing which just happened, kind of because I used to play with him since '98, so it's kind of a
Mm-hmm.
long time relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And with him, I kind of always felt that he's a very more art person than really a jazz musician. So he always was very interested in exchange, dancing, art, paintings, and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
when this opportunity turned up with my good friend Stefan Spicher, who is a painter,
Mm-hmm.
that we do kind of a performance in his workshop and he's painting and stuff. So I felt that for Greg this could be like a good combination.
Mm-hmm.
So this just happened like this. I didn't really plan it in advance. It just happened and it turned out great. So Stefan calls his paintings like eternal line,
Mm-hmm.
eternal lines, kind of, because they just the goal is to break the room, kind of, if you hang them on the wall,
Mm-hmm.
to give the room a certain vibe, a certain rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
rather than looking at the painting and just seeing something. It's more kind of the goal to have a certain rhythm within the room. So this fits very good to the music, I think.
That's
So
great.
yeah.
And how this came up as an idea? It was,
With Stefan, you mean?
yeah. I mean, like to combine music with painting.
Yeah, um, I mean, actually, it's kind of a situation we all kind of European musicians, or like improvising musicians. I think we have kind of the same. Uh, it can be a dilemma. It can be an advantage.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we are. I mean, on a way, we are not hooked up to the whole jazz tradition so much than maybe American musicians, or musicians which are coming out of this really traditional vibe and
Mm-hmm.
environment of jazz cities.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can take Paris, maybe in Europe, which is a kind of a jazz city. But I mean, Basel, I mean,
Yeah.
we have great musicians here, but it's not really a jazz city, you know?
Yes.
So my question, or my thing, was always to hook kind of up with great artists, rather than consider myself as a really jazz musician in the really traditional way.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Stefan, he is the same kind, but as a painter, I am a very open person, very philosophical personality. So you
Mm-hmm.
really can get quite deep with him in discussions, and in kind of yeah, how can I say, like yeah, it always ends up with the meaning of life, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever. I mean, I'm sure you know that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I have a couple of persons around myself which are not necessarily musicians, or necessarily jazz musicians.
Mm-hmm.
And so over the years, I mean, I also know Stefan for a long time, and we were always discussing about doing something together. And now with the opportunity that we had some free days with Greg, and just were thinking about what we could do, it just, came together.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
sometimes you, as I told you, you don't really have to plan things. Sometimes they just
Y-
happen if you are
Yes.
up and in touch with good people with good energy, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes
Mm.
it just happens
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's chemistry. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's a good expression, I think.
You also had the release of Convergence.
Yeah, right. That's the other thing. Yeah, right.
This is I mean, this one was first, or it was after the Greg, as we think.
It was kind of developing in the same
Time.
moment, but
Okay.
the conversion stuff is already out. I mean, this is again, I was like uh, looking for people which have kind of a similar background
Mm-hmm.
than myself. I mean, I did kind of classical studies. I studied classical music,
Mm-hmm.
and I always kind of was a jazz musician. I mean, I played with good musicians, and I was really lucky that when I was like teenager, the bass player of the Kurt Leitzi trio, he lives in Basel, so
Hmm.
like Famadou Moye, I don't know if you know him, like he was the
No, no.
guy from the Chicago Art Ensemble,
Ah,
the
okay,
drummer and
okay.
percussion player, and kind of a very strong leading figure and character. So
Hmm.
he stayed a lot in Basel, and so I had the chance to hang out with those guys. So this was kind of my street school, jazz
Nice.
school kind of. So yeah, and later I went to Cuba for many times and to check out um, like this folklore
Hmm.
music, and I discovered that they have a really good jazz scene there.
Hmm.
Not necessarily kind of the old like Chucho Valdez, but more kind of the younger guys. They
Hmm.
they relate a lot to Steve Coleman and to Henry Threadgill and those guys. And Steve Coleman was a lot in Cuba at that time, and so there was kind of a whole scene, me playing with Osby and Steve Coleman there, and those young cats. And so when I met them later in Madrid again, we decided to do a project together. So it was like Jorge Michael Bistel there on the horns, and we were looking for people which had kind of a similar uh, approach to the music, like Nelson Veras on guitar. He used to play with Steve Coleman a lot, and he's coming from Brazil, but he was kind of a protege of Pat Metheny, so he has the American school as well. So he has kind of this mixture inside himself as well.
Nice.
And Jim Hart, I mean, he's from UK
Hmm.
and started with classical music, and then ended up like as a jazz musician. And he played a lot with Stéphane Payen, who is also like in this whole M-bass inspired scene. So there was kind of a lot of common interests of all those musicians. And
Nice.
yeah, that was a really, I mean, it was kind of luck that it fitted together so well. We couldn't expect this before. So
Nice. And this project, you recorded that after a while that you worked on it in as a band, or?
yes, yes, we did like 2 or 3 little tours
Oh, nice.
before we really felt like recording it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's
Nice.
like always like your stuff too. Some you have to start somewhere. I mean, if
Yes.
you want to wait till it's ready to record, you can wait your whole life. I think somehow
Yes.
you just have to start somewhere and try, and then I mean, if you're lucky, it starts to go on and go on, and if you're not lucky, it was
Yeah.
an error kind of, and then you try a new thing. That's kind of
Mhm.
I
Did you
like that.
have did you have any moments in your career until today that you tried some things, maybe with a band or with a specific lineup, and they didn't work out? So you said like, okay, I don't think that's I mean that's gonna work. So maybe I try
Yes,
something
a
else.
lot of times. Yes, 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 of course. But I think you always learn a lot
Hmm.
also of those moments. I mean, for example, when I mean, after hanging out with this, like Kurt Leitzi, Moye, I decided in my early 20s to kind of have my own band. And then I started a project with inviting Kurt Leitzi, and I heard Benny Maupin kind of a year ago in Basel, and we hooked up and we talked and blah blah. And at the end, I invited Benny for a tour and for a recording. And I mean, yeah, it was great. I mean, it was a great experience, and we did a nice recording. But it also was kind of a clash of cultures, a clash of a generation, you know.
Yeah.
And we had some really great moments, and it was a positive thing for me. But I mean, I think it's for everybody the same. It takes a while to really see maybe who you are. I mean, which people you have a good vibe, and you have a good functionality. I think business wise and musical wise, and in your own surrounding, or your own how can you say your whole people you have around yourself to function in a good way. And of course you always look up, and I thought, I mean, Benny Maupin, he played with Miles, he played with Hancock. This must be a perfect match, you know. And I'm young, I have energy, and then at the end I just felt that it I mean, it worked, but it never would have been kind of a long time relationship, you know. And I tried a lot of, but at the end you learn so much about the history, about the mentality of those people, about also maybe where they come from, or how they function, and how they make music. So it's always great to try things. I think it's always like, and like this, I tried a lot of things. And on the other side, there are also like Osby, for example. Me and my brother, who plays the piano, we just heard him in Sweet Basil in the 90s, and just thought we have to play with him. And then we wrote him a letter in this time, no mail, nothing, and he answered, and we are still hooked up with him. So I mean, if you don't try, you don't find out. I think it's important.
That's great.
I think what is even now kind of a movement, that the background where bands refer to get kind of really I mean, like this is something like the older generations of jazz musicians. It was very clear what the roots of this music are. I mean, everybody related to all the drummers. They knew Max Roach, and they knew Sid Catlett, and they knew after that Elvin and Tony Williams and whatever. And I think in the young generation, you find a lot of people, they refer to maybe rock musicians, or they refer to maybe also younger jazz musicians. Maybe they refer to Eric Harland, and they don't know where he got his things from. So it stops kind of there. Or they also refer maybe to DJs or whatever. So I think these kind of roots get really kind of split up, which is maybe also kind of sad because you think everybody should know Max Roach and should know his function in history,
Mhm.
but it can be very interesting too, I think, because you also start about using other influences and other vibes, and maybe you don't refer so much to what is seen as the jazz tradition.
Mhm.
So, and this might be a thing which goes on over the next 5, 10 years, and
Mhm.
which makes the kind of jazz music not so much related to this American tradition at the end.
Yeah, but I
Maybe.
think I think this is happening more and more anyway. I mean,
Yes, yes.
what
Yeah,
I see is like I could say that there are basically two streams. There is a stream of musicians trying to uh, keep alive this tradition and you
yes,
know
yes.
pay homage to this great tradition and
Yeah.
keep spreading that music
Hmm. Hmm.
and there is the other stream of musicians that try to combine that with more contemporary and
Hmm. Yeah,
modern
yeah,
stuff like
yeah, yeah,
DJs, hip hop,
yeah, yeah,
electronic
yeah,
rock.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think this is happening a lot the last
Mm-hmm.
10, 20 years,
Yes, I think.
uh, more and more actually. And maybe I think it's already going into uh, kind of an dead end to this approach. It's kind of I mean most things have happened already. Recently, I mean the last 1 or 2 years, there is this trend for drummers that there is one drummer playing and at the same time he plays keyboards and he plays bass and he
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So one
Yes,
month band. So it's
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. I'm not so sure if, I mean, I only can talk for myself, but I think, um, for example, I have kind of a this history with a kind of classical traditions. I have
mhm,
kind of the history with Cuba. I follow for, I don't know, 25 years, 26, 7 years. And I have kind of a like um, I can just talk for myself. I like kind of warm sounds. I don't like this kind of very dry
mhm,
and sound so much.
mhm,
Just like personal. So if I combine all this kind of stuff, uh, I end up kind of, if I can choose, playing on a drums with natural skins with wooden rims, which gives a very warm and specific tone.
mhm,
And I end up with quite playing with quite thin sticks,
mhm,
which uh, I would say the sound is less uh, uh, percussive, maybe
mhm,
with those sticks.
mhm,
And I mean, at the end, I have kind of my whole universe of sound and way of thinking, um, which I use this kind of concept of not only following the jazz tradition, but also include my own
mhm,
experiences and
mhm.
own philosophy of sound of or what I feel good with it. And at the end, you end up with something very personal, I think.
Yes.
And I think what you're talking about is right. I see it the same way, but it's very kind of a mainstream thing. And I think, like, especially European musicians, we are hooked up with so many different traditions, and we travel. I mean, I think the American musicians, most of them, they start traveling once they're professionals, kind of, and
Mhm,
kind of the upper class really travels as a family, I would say.
mhm,
And in Europe, it's the opposite. I mean, we used to have our holiday in Greece, I don't know, and then
mhm,
you hear their kind of music, and then you go to Italy, and you have like the parties in the summer, and then you
mhm,
hear different music there, and of
mhm,
course, all beside the mainstream where you hear everywhere. But
mhm,
if you we would have we kind of have more uh, different. influences, I think, in our kind of sounds
Hmm.
than the American, which is such a big country, I think.
Yes.
So I think this could be a nice thing for us to explore this kind of uh, ways and experiences, which makes our playing kind of more specific or more personal, I think.
Yeah, that
So it's
sounds
kind
great.
of complicated,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I think it's important for us.
yeah. It's a process actually. It's a long
Yes,
process.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Hmm.
But I don't
Nice.
know. I mean, let's see if this really changes in 5 years, or I mean, maybe if the corona stays, maybe the scenes will be more national after that, maybe.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
if it,
Although if the live stream thing is going
yes,
to
yes,
grow bigger, this would
maybe,
lead
yes, 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 yes,
to international audiences.
yes, yes, yes. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not such a fan of like streamed concerts.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
Me
know.
too. Me too. Do you? What's your plans for the next few months?
I mean, I will now, yeah, of course, I will release those two. I mean, I already released the Convergence. I released
Hmm.
the Osby thing now, and then we're with my trio, Wayne. We are just recording a new recording as well. So
Hmm.
this will be out in February, I guess. There is possibility or things like Facebook or Bandcamp or whatever to reach interested people.
Hmm.
I mean, now if I send out those recordings, I mean the conversion stuff and the OSP stuff through Bandcamp, I mean most of these guys buying the stuff, I
Hmm.
mean they come from everywhere. I mean
Yes.
even sent a recording to Kazakhstan and another one to Hong Kong, and you know,
Yes.
I mean it's a completely international society, and
Yes.
I think it's really nice that you are able to reach these people.
Hmm.
So I think in the business thing, the most important is to find kind of the the place where you can fit in a good way and not only look at the industry in a kind of a traditional way, and
Hmm.
not only look at people like, I don't know, Robert Glasper or like those people which are kind of big now, and
Hmm.
trying to copy them also like business wise.
Hmm.
I think more important to look at yourself and reflect and see who are you, where are you functioning, how are you functioning, and in
Hmm.
which kind of environment you are functioning in a good way, and people are reacting on what you do. And I
Hmm.
mean, maybe this could be a completely different audience at the end, that people you which are your idols, you know.
Hmm.
So I think this is a very big kind of challenge to find out about yourself, about the tools you can use, about the all possible audience you can have, um, and also maybe respect what you are kind of and what you are not, and not only uh, look at people which made it in a maybe more easy way or more traditional way, but
Hmm.
try to be to find something for yourself. I think
Hmm.
it's difficult because it's you can do everything kind of, you know, there are
Yeah.
tons of tools, tons of systems, tons of ways of life. I mean, it's And I think musically it's kind of the same thing. I mean, especially if you look at people coming out in a kind of a traditional way, they go to a music school, college, and then they go to like a jazz university or something. I mean, they all come up with kind of the same background. So
Yes.
after that, I mean, reflect, who are you? I mean, it's a really globalized world, kind of. I mean, you have to really find out where your special personality is, because I mean, everybody has a different personality, but as we are trained to use the same systems. I mean, drums is a good example, I think. I mean,
Yes.
you get sound of drums, and all the tunings are kind of, in generally, they're very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of the rhythms people use, and I mean, for example, now I see that a lot of or most drummers, they kind of think, they lose the way of thinking melodically. They mostly think rhythmically. I mean, they have like kind of bass drum backbeat, and they do all the kind of crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice, but everybody does it, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
There are specific trends, right?
reflect and find
Mm-hmm.
your own thing, which is what you like, which sound you like, what you admire, what you want to have part of your drumming.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe something completely different comes out, and then you have also to accept kind of that what you do is kind of different to the to the mainstream. Who knows? Or maybe you just like the mainstream and you do the mainstream, but you have to reflect. And I think that's very important, because if you don't do that, you always are a musician which is just reproducing something, or
Yes.
using a system from a school, and using a system of, I don't know, Chris, Dave, or whatever, Eric Harland, crazy stuff. And you never reflect if this really fits to your personality. So I think this is quite a challenge for most
Yes.
people.
Yeah, this is great. Um, Thanks for this. This sounded very nice. I like
Okay, good.
and
Perfect. Great.
thank you,
Keep in
Florian.
touch. Hey,
Yeah.
all the best. Take care.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Bye bye.